Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan, where we explore the stories and strategies of some of the world's most fascinating individuals who have overcome adversity and achieved success in their lives. My name is Joan, and I'm the award-winning author of the book iRise, The 10 Secrets to Getting Up When Life Knocks You Down. Today, we are thrilled to have Tina Kalogeropoulos with us. She is a certified career coach, a marketing executive, an entrepreneur, and a mom. She has over 20 years experience in B2B and B2C marketing communications, specializing in integrated marketing communication strategies. She is also a certified life coach, dedicated to helping leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs grow and thrive while remaining true to their authentic selves. Today, we'll dive into her expertise, managing career growth and family responsibilities, the importance of critical thinking, and how we can benefit from coaching. Welcome, Tina, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Joan. I'm so happy to be here.
Such a pleasure. So let's just talk a little bit about your personal experience and how you became a career coach.
Sure. Well, as many things, and for many people, COVID, I'd say it was a pivotal moment in me having this aha moment for myself. So it was during COVID when, kids are home, husband is home, I'm home, and I'm, working, and we're trying to navigate our life and, trying to see into the future. And I had that question that was kind of burning, like, okay, is this it for me? Like, is there something more? And, I've always had this flame inside of me and I felt like it was kind of flickering. So I was like, okay, I don't want that to go out. So I invested in myself and I hired my own career coach. And just to make sure that I was on the right track and to ensure if I am spending time away from my family, especially under these conditions, that I'm doing the things that I'm meant to be doing. And through that process, I learned a lot about myself. I went back and challenged a whole bunch of limiting beliefs. And I came out the other end having such a deep appreciation for, the coaching process, strategies I learned through it, just the whole discovery phase that went along with it, and the actionable next steps that I walked away with, right? And I was like, I need to do this for other people, like, right? And then I was reflecting on my own life, like, hey, people do tend to come to me, and people do tend to, seek out my advice or my mentorship. And I was like, well, this is, mentorship is different than coaching, right? And I learned what coaching, like, how to go about having an effective, coaching session, what that means, and then how the client walks away with, with what to do next. So I was like, I'm all in. And what do I go from here? How do I make this more part of my everyday life? And so that was just the beginning.
Wow, that's such a fascinating story. And I think maybe not everyone went through it during COVID, but I think everyone throughout the course of their life will get to that point where they start to ask the question, is there more? Is this for me? Am I on the right career path? And I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer. I think there's just a discovery, like you did, finding out more about yourself, who you're meant to be, and who you're meant to serve. So I think before we get on that journey of how people can get to that level of self-awareness and really going on this path of discovery, you mentioned managing during the pandemic, like everybody, the whole world went crazy because now you're a busy professional, you have a family to manage, homeschooling, everything was just happening. And a lot of people were challenged at that point. But there are many people, even before the pandemic, where that has always been their life, where just trying to balance family and career was always a challenge, especially for women. So in your journey prior to the pandemic, were there any skills or any tips and tricks that you had to help balance out having a successful career, because you were in marketing, which is a busy career, and managing the home front?
I would say I had a lot of learnings throughout my career, right? So I'd say I grew up in the corporate world, right? So my first job out of school was in a boutique B2B marketing agency. And I saw things there that I was like, oh, okay. It was like kind of a scene out of Mad Men, right? Oh, okay. I guess this is the way corporate works, right? And I started developing some habits that kind of carried me through my career. And, I was like, loved working. I loved that rush. I loved serving. I loved learning. I loved being with people. I still do all of those things. And then, I had a life event happen where I was like, you know what? I want to start a family, right? So I was married to my high school sweetheart, and I was like, let's like start thinking about having a family. But I had set this precedent that Tina's always around. Tina's always in the office. And what do you mean you're leaving at 7:30? Like, so it was tough because I craved that and I thrived off of it. And I set a precedent. And then now I had to step back from it because I wanted to focus on, building a family. And then we can talk about that. That's a whole other story because I had challenges in itself with, like I had fertility issues, and, I had to go see, have doctor's appointments every single morning. And I had to balance that with no one knowing at my corporate job that I was doing that. Right. So it was really, really tough. And I'm blessed with two beautiful children. I'm so grateful for them. And, just going through that, I was like, gosh, if I can help another woman or man that's going through this deep, like desire to start a family or get on a healthy path, or, have to take like a caregiver for, an elderly, whatever it is, we have to be in the place where we can start sharing that at work, because work consumes, 1/3 of our day, right? And we don't really share the personal things, and it impacts our whole life, right? So I would say what started happening with me was I was like, you know what? I'm going to start sharing. I'm going to start telling people what is happening with me. And, some people didn't understand because they weren't in the same boat as me. However, other people did. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going through the same thing. Or I've struggled with the same thing. Or I didn't know how to talk about XYZ myself, right? So I would say just going through it, not knowing what I know now, right? Just wanting to be super successful and achieve all the goals throughout the career. But then you get to a point where it's like, wait a minute, what's right for me, right? What's right for my family? And then what's right for my mental health into the future, right? That's kind of like that's my story.
Yes. And I think a lot of people will resonate with that because, like you said, a lot of people don't feel like they can bring their whole world, their whole life to work. So you have this separation of at work, you're wearing this mask where everything is hunky-dory and you're perfect and you can be in the office for 10, 12 hours a day. But then you're going through life because life always has its challenges. So I kind of like the idea of just starting to share, be more open about what it is that you're going through. And you'll be surprised how many people are supportive. Like even the bosses that you think expect you to be there all the time, be like, go for your appointments. How was it? Do you need time off? So I think a lot of us feel guilty, especially when you've set the precedence, like you said, you were a hard worker, you always wanted to be in the office, and now you feel guilty that you now have to make other life choices because now you wanted to have a family. So just for anyone who's listening, maybe you're challenged, maybe you want to have a family, but you're thinking, I can't give up my corporate job because what's going to happen? Maybe I'm going to get fired. You're not going to get fired. Like life does happen. And I think more and more organizations and people are embracing this now, where they want people to bring their whole selves to work so that you're not just focused on the job, you're also sharing your life and people can help you and support you to grow as well. So I think that's a really good tip for anybody who's struggling with that. Okay, so let's get into really what I want to get into today, which is where the career coaching part of it. A lot of people, maybe you studied a particular course and that's what you fell into, or maybe your parents told you you're going to be the XYZ and you kind of fell into that and you've done it for years, but then you get to a point where you start to ask yourself those questions. Is this career still right for me? Is this the path I'm meant to be on? Does it bring me joy? Am I getting fulfillment? Am I satisfied? Am I benefiting? You start to question, is there more to life? Is there something else I can do? For you, you found a coach. For a lot of people, they're just stuck. They're just frustrated. They're miserable. A lot of mental health issues are coming up because of work. A lot of people are unhappy. 70% of people in North America are unhappy because of their work, because of their jobs. And if there is a way to help someone, then I think we need to share this message. So I think this message is so key because with the pandemic, it didn't get easier. People are way more frustrated at work. Mental health illness is on the rise. So how can people who are at that point, where's the starting point for someone who's like, they wake up and they're like, okay, this can be it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so good question. I think it's that just voice inside of you, right? That's always like, kind of giving you signals. Like I believe that the universe is always talking to us, right? And as soon as we start paying attention, then that signal or that voice becomes louder and louder and louder, right? So I think the first step is just to be aware of what's happening. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Why do certain thoughts keep coming up for you, right? Because I think the stat is we get served up 80,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative thoughts, right? So you have to muscle through all the thoughts that your brain, that's your brain's job, right? To serve up thoughts. But the ones that really serve you, right? Like they keep coming up over and over again, because the desire to want more or the desire to do more won't go away. It's always going to keep surfacing in one way or another, right? So for me, I was just like, I couldn't deny it any longer. I couldn't put a lid on it. I couldn't quiet it anymore, right? I was like, now's the time. And then again, like just the signals, like COVID was happening, people are, you think about mortality, like guys, we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Yep.
So if there's a thing that you're curious about, just investigate it today, because you really don't know what tomorrow brings, right? So that was abundantly clear for me. Like, if I'm going to explore this feeling, this inkling, this question that I have, I'm going to do it now, right? And then as soon as I started being more open about it, I started sharing, hey, I'm having questions about this, or I'm struggling with this. And a cousin of mine, actually, she told me about her career coach. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what I need, right? She gave me the contact information, and sure enough, I think 10 days later, I reached out, I had a call, and I was in, right? But I think it's tough for us to think that we have all the answers within ourselves, right? I think you have to start just like sharing what you're going through, right? And even like I tell my friends, like a little pivot, like, friends that are looking for their mate in life, you got to start telling people that that's what you're looking for. So the other bodies in the universe can help you do your work for you, right? So as soon as I started opening up, saying, I'm questioning my career. As soon as I said that, she's like, oh, guess what? I was too. And I spoke to so-and-so. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is great. Just opening the lines of communication, just being more vulnerable, right? I'm not saying to post it all over your social media if that's not the type of persona you have, but start with the, people in your trusted circle. And it's natural. You're going to Google what you're feeling or what you're thinking, and you might get a couple of interesting articles. But when you commit to having a coach, like a one-to-one coach that's personalized for you, that's listening to you one-to-one, that gives you space and permission to think freely for yourself, like that is so magical, so transformational, right? It's a gift. I really think it's a gift. And that's what I experienced with my coach. She asked me questions I never even thought about. And that's the power of coaching, right? Like that's what I learned, the powerful questioning and just having more awareness of your circumstances, right? Why you think certain ways, why you think certain things are not possible. Because what if they were possible? What does that look like? Just like thinking differently, right?
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. Like I've had many, many coaches in my life. And, I like something that you said. We all think that we have the answers, and we put that pressure on ourselves where I need to figure it out by myself. I need to know, it's me, it's my life. I should know what to do. Sometimes the answers are there, but there's just so much cloud in it. Like you said, limiting beliefs, paradigms, conditioning. There's just so much that's really clouding, the answers. So having someone who has that expertise to be able to draw out, and I think that's the difference between coaching and mentoring. The coach is helping you draw out what's already inside of you. So having someone that can lead you on that path for you to be more self-aware, you're not discovering a new you. It was always there, but now you're just peeling off the layers and really coming to the truth of who you really are. And then you can make the decision on, wow, now that I know me, or this is what I want, or this is what brings me joy, then maybe this is the career path I should move into. Again, a lot of people are defined by their jobs, and it's like, but I've always been a marketing communication expert. Like, that's who I've been. That's my identity. I can't just let that go. So for you, how how was it? I wouldn't say it was easy, but how did you pivot into
Mm-hmm.
now? Coaching is what I was called to do. Coaching is what I want to
Mm-hmm.
do. I want to make this switch. This I'm going all in. How did you
Mm-hmm.
make that pivot?
So when I was working with my coach, we had some deep exercise that I do with my clients today, because we started with our own self assessment. Like, what are our skills? What are we good at? What do we like doing? Right. So if you had an option to do the thing that makes you happy, then what would that look like? Right. So we go through, okay, we do a self assessment of our skills, right? Like what we're good at, and the type of people that we would serve best, right? Whether it's like, in the medical profession, as a teacher, as a tradesperson, in service, right? So you start exploring all that, and then you think about, what if there were no guardrails, right? What if you didn't have to think about generating X amount of dollars for your bills? Or what if you could move anywhere in the world because you aren't the caregiver of your aging parents, right? Or what, like, just remove all of those barriers, right? And then you start thinking, okay, well, I could do this job because I could, you just fill in the blanks, right? Because usually you're thinking, well, I can't do this because of this. Well,
Yes.
hold on a second. Well, what if that wasn't a problem? What if this wasn't a problem, right? And then you start going deeper into, okay, well, that could be a possibility, right? And then your list gets a little more narrow, right? So you know what you're really good at, you know what you want to do. Now there are no barriers, right? Like, what could that look like? And then the next step is, you want to speak to people that are in that actual industry, right? So let's say you wanted to be a doctor, right? So you should speak to a doctor and see what their life is like, because you might think it's a certain way because of what you've seen in the media or read about or learned about in textbook. But you got to speak to someone that's been doing it for 15, 20, 30 years, right? And understand, what is it like a day in a life in your career? If I am to make the change, what would that be like, right? And you speak to like different industries, right? Like, you've narrowed down a list, you have about 3 to 5 industries that you'd be good at because your skill set's there, you're passionate about it, you've always been curious about it, there are no restrictions. And then you speak to the people within the industry. So you do your research, market research. And then from there, it becomes like things start falling off, right? And then things start bubbling up to the top, where it's like, oh, you get like the butterflies in your stomach. Like, I want to do that too. I know I can do that too because my skill set's there, right? And I hear a lot of similarities with so and so as they talk about it, and they've shared their journey with me. Am I willing to go through those struggles? Because it's not like, okay, all of a sudden you're a career coach and you're high fiving. Like, you have to develop the foundation of your business, of your program, of your package, right? Your reputation as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other challenging thing. Like, I've been in corporate marketing for 22 years, right? I have an extensive network, and I really pride myself on developing and maintaining my relationships. But my network knows me as that, right? Tina Kalogeropoulos is a marketer. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean you're a coach now? What does that mean? Right? So you
Yeah.
have to, like, so it is a little bit of like a, self-discovery. You're having to reinvent yourself, but how fun is that? Right? How fun is that?
Yeah. How fun is that? And I love it because a lot of people sit on the other side where they're so afraid. They can't see the fun. They can't see that discovering themselves and doing the things that bring them joy every day. Like actually waking up in the morning, I'm like, yes, another day, let's do this. As opposed to, oh God, is it Monday? Is it Friday yet?
Mm-hmm.
They can't see that other side. But what you're describing is a new way, a new mindset shift. You have to, and I like, because you just walked us through your coaching process. So I'm sure maybe a lot of people didn't catch it.
Yes.
Walk us through your coaching process. And because a lot of people don't understand what coaching is, they think it's just like, oh, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
like therapy, where it's like, oh, how are you feeling today? It's not.
Yes.
There is a process that helps you to get from one point to the other. That is the
Mm-hmm.
goal. There are results that have to come out of a coaching contract. And Tina just walked us through it. It starts with your mindset, really shifting your mindset and going through all the different steps, doing the work. Because it's like Tina's not going to tell anybody, oh, you should go be a doctor. Like it's you're just going to help people peel off all the layers, all the limiting beliefs, and really get to the crux of what is it that you're good at? What skills do you like? What do you enjoy doing? And you said, go and talk to those people, see what it's like
Yes.
the day in their life. And then you
Mm-hmm.
will know. you would know, because those butterflies will start to flutter in your belly, and now you're excited. Now you're like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. I want to step into this new path. I feel called to do this. This is my natural talent. This is me, my authentic self. This is what gives me joy. This is how I'm here to serve the world. So I really want to encourage anyone, because people might think, oh, coaching, I'm not going to pay for coaching, is a waste of money. Trust me, many people cannot do this on their own. I couldn't do this on my own.
Same. I couldn't either.
A lot of people cannot do it on their own. So do you want to keep going year on year, month on month, grinding and complaining about your job? I hate my job. I wish I could do something else, without really taking the steps that you need to get to where you want to go to. So coaching is one option. And like I said, Tina just walks us through her process. I caught it. If you didn't catch it, or sign up. Sign up and start having those conversations today. You can't go through life. If anything, the pandemic taught me in particular is there's no time. You don't know tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be here. I don't want to spend one more day, one more hour doing something that I don't enjoy, no longer brings me joy, or no longer fits into the life that I now want for myself. So if you're someone who maybe you want to start a family, or you want to move to a different country, you have to prioritize those things. You have to prioritize yourself and work with a coach that can help you to really define what it is that you truly want. Who are you? What brings you joy, and what career path should you go on? So thank you so much for sharing your coaching process.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I also love that a lot of people are probably where you are because they're coaches who've never been in corporate, right? And nothing against them. It doesn't mean that they can't help you get to where you want to get to. But I find that people who have walked the same line as you, so because a lot of people who are frustrated are probably in the corporate world, and you've been there, you know what the challenges are, you know how you have to put in all these many hours, how trying to balance home and work is so difficult. So you understand the frustrations and the pains that people are going through, and you can guide them to where they really want to be.
I was going to say too, you have to be all in yourself, right? Like, so with coaching, a lot of times, like through work, you may be assigned to a coach. And if you're not like really invested in peeling back those layers, as you mentioned, you're not going to get the results, right? Like you have to be fully open and vulnerable and transparent, because I can tell you the clients that I coach, yes, I coach, executives and like more of a business mindset, but I also coach entrepreneurs, right? So these are people not in corporate, but they're launching a business, right? So I provide marketing consulting because that's what I've done for 22 years. So that comes naturally to me, but I spend 90% of my time coaching their mindset on, hey, this is where I want to go, right? This is the new business venture that I want to, explore as my side hustle or my passion, or eventually, roll into it. But they come to me willing to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing more challenging than sitting through something or just not being completely vulnerable and open to get the results that you need. Right. So that's why I encourage, like when I knew that I needed to take that next step, like I knew whatever I was doing on my own wasn't working for me, right? Like, as you mentioned it, a lot of people think they could do it on their own. Great. And then my question is, well, how's that working out for you? Right. And it might be, but if you want to accelerate success and you want to get to the next level, you have to make a shift. Something has to change, right? Why not surround yourself with someone that is going to help you understand what those mental roadblocks are and help you get there, right? Yeah, I think that is like really key, like a key takeaway, that you have to be willing to do the work.
Yeah, you have to be willing to do the work. I completely agree. And it's not a magic bullet. It's not easy. Coaching is actually a painful process because it takes you to some parts of your life that you kind of don't want to talk about. But you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to discover yourself. You have to be self-aware. You have to know what's not working for you and be able to admit it, and then come out on top, where you're at a point where now you know all of that. Now you know how you can change your fix or what you need to do to be better. But yeah, I agree. You have to be all in. You have to be committed to the process and do the work. Like no one's going to do it for you. You have to do the work.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about people in corporate jobs today. a lot of people like their jobs, like they enjoy what they do. Like for you, marketing is your thing. You've always enjoyed it. You're good at it. So that's great. But then a lot of people have lost the passion for the job that they do. And it could be because of the organization. It could be that they're not just getting promoted or for whatever reason. How can people who are not necessarily looking for a career shift, so a career change, reignite that passion within their job and actually grow?
That's a good question. I think what comes up for me as you ask that question is sometimes it's not the fundamentals of the job or the boss or the tasks at hand. It's the individual carrying on this weight that they're not, like you said, like they're not passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you take that individual out of that working environment and into the next one. My question would be like, what's really changed, right? Like, are like if you're still set up to do the same type of tasks, the same type of level, like same level of responsibility and accountabilities, right? What's really changing? It's just the working environment, maybe the people, right? So you really have to think about like what's really triggering you. Why did you lose that fulfillment? Right? Because a lot of times people are like, I hate my job, or I'm not fulfilled at my job. And okay, well, what is it? Because if you have like a marketing communications role at one job and you leave to do another marketing communications role, you've been doing the same thing, right? However, if it's the individuals that are causing you, frustration, then that's a different conversation. Then we have to start talking about, how to be open for feedback and ask for feedback, right? Because sometimes you have to manage up to your manager, right? So you have to be open and transparent with what you're experiencing. And sometimes you have to be open to accept feedback on like really what your performance is how you're doing as a team member, right? You have to be willing to look at yourself in the mirror, right? Because you take like I said, you take the individual out of the role and you put them in a new role. What's really changing, right? And sometimes you're in a horrible environment, right? Like sometimes the culture is toxic, or whatever the case may be. And if you can clearly identify that, like by working with a coach or working with a professional, then maybe that's the time to start looking for something else, right? But you don't want to just switch out one thing for another if it's going to be like a rinse and repeat, right? Because you have to think about like what desires brought you to that opportunity to begin with, right? And why would you want to leave that? Why would you want to leave that? What's really going on, right? So, and again, it's not like a one size fits all. Like it has to do with a lot of, powerful questioning and challenging some beliefs, right? And sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Like sometimes we just have to take a look at ourselves in the mirror, see what's really going on. Yeah. We have to be super vulnerable, right? And you have to like accept responsibility. You have to see it. And you have to own it, right? Because sometimes you are responsible for the environment that's been created.
That is true.
And then it comes to a point where you have to decide, like, what are you going to do about it? And that's why working with a coach is really strategic, because it puts you on a path for success, right? Acceleration. Like if you're going to leave, what type of business are you going to look to immerse yourself in? Is it the same business vertical, same industry, same level of profession, same, responsibilities? Or is it time to take a step down? Like a lot of the executives I'm speaking with, they're like, I'm done. I've sat at that boardroom table. I've hired and fired, and I've done my thing. I've put my, my mark on my career. I just want to step back now. Right? So that also takes a different approach, because they may not be fulfilled because maybe it's just too much and they're just disengaged.
Yeah. Like the way you just answered this question, because there are a lot of people who might just say, oh, well, I'm a marketing communications executive at this job and I want another job. Help me, Tina, get another job. Here's my resume. And that's what they think a career coach is all about. But what you've just described is you need to get to the bottom of why is this no longer working for you? What were the initial things you were desiring when you got this job, and how has that panned out today? Is this what you still want to do? Because there's no point just shifting to a new company. It's still going to be the same frustration, especially if it's not the organization that's toxic. So again, this is the benefit of working with a coach. It is not just about switching jobs or helping you figure out what are the top 10 most highly paid jobs in the industry. Well, if that's your thing, but great. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about how you can discover what it is that you truly want to do and how you can get on that path so that you have the success and the fulfillment that you desire for this time in your life, not what someone else has told you or whatever limiting beliefs. Though everybody needs to be in IT, everybody, whatever it is that people have said, it doesn't matter. This is now a personalized journey about you, what your desires are, what are your strengths, what are your skills, what will bring you joy, and really get on that path. We cannot spend any more time being miserable at work.
Yes.
So I really love the way you answer that question, because there's a lot of misconception about what career coaches are. They're not resume reviewers. They don't help you.
Sure. There's multiple AI tools for that. And unfortunately, yeah, that's not me. But I think like working with a coach, like it saves you time, right? It just saves you time. It gets you in motion. Yeah. It accelerates your success. Yeah. And it also saves you money. Even though you think of it like, oh, I'm investing, right? I'm spending X amount of dollars to work with a coach. Well, you're also saving money because you're not spending time downloading this program that costs, some money that's not personalized to you, right? Or not going for that promotion that you would have been, primed for had you had a little bit of coaching and some prep work so you can ask for it and get the result that you wanted, right? Yeah. So you're leaving money on the table, in my opinion, if you go at it alone. If you're fulfilled in your career, great, high five. I love that. Right. But if it comes to a point where you're like, I need something more or less or change or something's happening, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on. And let's get you to where you need to be fast. Let's do it quickly. Right. Because what's our number one commodity that is the most valuable for you and me, for everyone, for all the 8 billion people in this world? It's time. Let's not waste time. Let's do the thing that we want to do and stop doing the things we don't want to do. Yeah. Right. So we can spend time with our families. We can go on those vacations. Right. So we can do the things that we want to do. So we can have adventures in our life. Absolutely. So we can be happy and enjoy the snow days.
I enjoy your snow days. Go shovel some snow.
Yes.
And I think everybody secretly deep down inside, that's what people really, really want. And they haven't given themselves permission, or they don't know how to go about it. So now here is Tina, who's telling you, it can be done. You can get the support you need. You can get the clarity that you need to embark on this journey. Make that phone call. I will share her details in the show notes so that you can start. There's no time to waste. We need to get on this path as quickly as possible. So whether it's you're a busy executive, you're in a career trajectory, you want to pivot, or you want to start a business, you need to be able to figure out if this is really what you want to do, and then get on that path and really have someone who will hold you accountable so that you're in motion. I love what you said, because some people might say, oh, I want to be this. I know you said that years ago. Oh, I want to be this. And then 2 years, 3 years, but nothing has happened. No movement, no motion, no action has been taken. But I said it to myself, I'm going to be this. Or some people have New Year's resolutions. They're like, oh, this year I'm going to da-da-da. Nothing happens. A coach will help keep you accountable so that you're constantly in motion, so that you're actually achieving the results and the goals you set out to achieve.
Yeah. There's one small misconception about that accountability piece. And usually when I ask my clients and I close off the call and we talk about, okay, well, who's going to hold you accountable? And if they say, well, you will, I say, yeah, well, I'll keep you accountable on this call, but I'm not living with you, right? So we set up a process so they find those accountability supports within their circle, within their network, right? Because that's what's so important, whether it's, a calendar on their computer, or whether it's an individual, a spouse, a partner, a friend, right? So, and we walk through that, right? Because everyone has the goal for success, right? But really you need the support system, and I'm going to be supporting you, right? As your coach on the calls and, in between, but really you need to build a network of support outside of your coaching sessions so you can really be successful.
Awesome. That's a good distinction on accountability. Because again, people keep thinking somebody else is going to do all the work for me. I'll just get the results.
Well, I don't have to. No. Exactly. Like I hired a fitness coach, because I had a goal that I wanted to achieve. And yeah, they kept me accountable, right? Like you have to do the check-in every week. But at the end of the day, I had to wake up and I had to do my own workout. I had to set systems in place that, I wake up a certain time. I have my food prep. Like I had to do it for myself, and I had to organize myself in my home situation so I can keep myself accountable. But my coach, my fitness coach, could only get me so far, right? I have to keep myself accountable with the supports within my system.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you said. It's about being all in. You have to be committed to this. You have to really want the results and be willing to put in the work. So tell us a little bit about your coaching practice. So who do you work with and what type of coaching programs do you offer?
Sure. Well, I like to say I work with ambitious professionals, right? So these are people who struggle with who to trust and who to turn to that can provide them meaningful value in their career, right? So generally they're, middle management, emerging leaders, and senior executives. They're also, they're male and female, but they're also, I do a life coaching perspective too, right? So I do career coach. It's what drives me. It's what motivates me. So what I'm super passionate about. But as we coach, we also talk about life, because I don't coach the problem. I coach the person, right? So sometimes it could be like a life coaching session, right? Because they're having this idea and they want to, start up a business or whatnot, right? So I speak to people that are passionate about making change and that are passionate about doing the thing that excites them but scares the crap out of them at the same time, right?
Awesome. And what is your coaching program? Is it a one-on-one coaching? Is it the time frame coaching?
It's a 6-month program. So we work together for 6 months. And the reason I like doing that is because if we go through the process of learning what the goals are and where we want to be, and then we get that in motion for the first 3 months. And if there's no obstacles and life doesn't get in the way, and you are dedicated, 100% dedicated to achieving your goal, we can have transition within 3 months, right? But what happens is life gets in the way, right? And so you have that transition, let's say in 3 months, and then something happens, or you need to be able to live that new lifestyle or that new job, or get settled into that new frame of thinking, right? So that's why I like to work with my clients at least for 6 months. So we identify, okay, what's going on? Where do we want to go? We get there, we high five, and then we live that life of what it's like to be in that new role. And then we talk about, okay, what does the next mountain look like? Because we achieved this one, and now let's think about the next one. So 6 months for me is really the sweet spot for myself and my clients.
That's awesome. And I feel like 1-year coaching or 2-year programs, people drop out along the way. It takes too long to achieve the result. But 3 months, I think that's really, really sweet. And then 6 months, obviously, is a good time frame to get the work done, do intern work, and start to live that lifestyle.
Yes.
So I will be sharing your details in the chat so that anyone who feels like they are your ideal client, if they really resonate with the work that you're sharing, and I can see the passion. I can see that it's something that you really want to help people with. So if you're listening and you think that you're at that point in your life or your career where you want to move to the next level, where you want to benefit from some of the things that Tina's been explaining with her coaching process, then I think now is the time. That's why you're on this, listening to this today, to take action and to get on this path. But we will always have people who are not ready for coaching. We will always have people who are on the fence. They're like, sounds all well and good. I want some of this benefit, but I'm just not ready to commit to coaching. What final words do you have for people like that who maybe they're struggling with their jobs? Maybe they wake up every day thinking, I don't have time to go through a coaching program. I've got bills to pay. I'm so busy. I've got a family of whatever it is, that's going on in life is happening to them, and they can't commit at this point to coaching. Are there any tips that you can leave them with today to get them on a path to a better work-life balance?
That's a good question. I think the obstacles that are getting in the way are, there's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be now's not the best time, right? There always is. And we're human beings. It happened for me too, right? As soon as you can get over and think about, but how much better or how much worse would I be, right? So this is the worst case scenario for people that are really struggling. They're at their low point. They're at their worst case scenario. It really can't get any worse, right? So by taking the steps forward, it's just going to improve, right? Because as soon as you start investing in yourself, and it could be just starting by writing something in a journal. Like it could be just by you dedicating an hour to yourself. Maybe you're not paying a coach or you're not, doing a program, but you're taking the time for yourself to just really think about like what is really going on. Why am I feeling this way? And where do I really want to be? Right. And it's just evolving your own solution. It'll be abundantly clear when you start critically thinking about, what those goals are and what's standing in your way. And slowly, you'll find the confidence to start sharing, your struggles within your trusted circle. And before you know it, you'll gain the confidence to say, hey, you know what? This is my life. I want to improve it for whatever reason. I want to be the best version of myself. Can you help me? And before you know it, you'll be on the path of surrounding yourself with people, like-minded people that will help you get out of that, bad stage, and then start opening your awareness to what like the possibilities could be for you. And it might lead you to coaching. It might lead you to some other, modality. Yeah. But as soon as you start investing in yourself, like just time, right? Just the time, then you'll see a shift.
Yeah. Beautiful advice. I really love that. And so I want to encourage everybody today, spend that time, invest in yourself. And if you can't have a coach, like Tina said, just write it down. Start asking yourself those critical questions. What is going on? What do I want? And start building the confidence to share. And before you know it, your life will turn around. And I hope that you do invest in coaching, because it's the quickest way to get to where you want to get to. And again, Tina is available, like you've heard. Look, you can get there. You can get there. Start investing in yourself. Start believing in yourself. Start knowing that you're worth it. You are worthy of having a beautiful life, of doing the things that you love, of spending time with family and loved ones, going on vacations, do whatever it is that really thrills your soul. You are worthy, you're worth it, and it can be achieved. Thank you so much, Tina, for being here with us today. That was amazing.
It was my pleasure.
I'm super motivated now. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I need to go back to my list and see what's going on with you. So thank you so much for sharing. And I do really wish you all the best. I'll wish you a lot of success in your coaching. There are not too many really, really passionate coaches out there. And I really do want to commend you for the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for allowing me to bring my message forward and really share it this way. It's easy to speak to someone like you because I can feel the energy. And my goal is to just help other people, find fulfillment, right? If we can do that and we can have a high five in person, I love seeing people in person or virtually, my heart is happy, but I'm just, I'm willing to help in any way I can.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening and joining us today. I will see you same time next week on iRise Conversations with Joan.